We don't know a lot about what the Orlando Magic are doing in preseason because they haven't played any games, but you can't hide excitement. And one player seems like the true MVP of training camp today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is October 18th, 2024. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, one player seems to get everybody on the Orlando Magic excited. So I'm going to name him my camp MVP in the blind. Why everyone is so excited about Anthony Black. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. First, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Remember, there's a great Locked On podcast covering every single team in the NBA. Just search for Locked On and the team you're looking for, the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Let's preface this. This is completely blind. What I'm about to say is just based on vibes, because that's all we have to go on in this preseason. The Magic played 2 preseason games very early in the process, last Monday, last Wednesday, and then nothing. I don't get to watch practices. I don't get to watch scrimmages. I barely get to see shooting drills. So even though I am with the team talking to them seemingly every day now, I really need them to go away for a little bit so I can catch up on some things. I've got a backlog of posts I'm trying to get to that I just can't get to. I'm ready for these guys to go away for a little bit. And yes, I know I am going to Miami next week, so it's going to be a little while longer still. But while everyone is generally positive in training camp, everybody is excited for the season. And guess what? They are actually legit. They actually should be legitimately excited for this upcoming season. While everybody is excited for the upcoming season, while everyone's excited for this upcoming season, you can't hide genuine emotion. You can't hide when someone's ears perk up and their eyes widen and they're excited to talk about something. You know, it's one thing to say, oh yeah, our defense is doing fine. Our offense looks really good. It's another thing when player after player says, oh, this player is doing really well. This player is really showing out. You could tell he put in a lot of work during the summer. And while, yes, we are asking these specific questions a lot of times about specific players, you can tell when someone is just generically saying something and they actually mean it. And that has been the case all camp long with Anthony Black. Whether it's Franz Wagner, whether it's Gary Harris, whether it's Jamal Mosley, everybody seems really excited for the leap that Anthony Black appears to have taken this coming season and the work that he did this offseason. Everybody seems very thrilled at the development that he's shown and what it means for this upcoming season. We've broken down a lot of what's going to happen with Anthony Black. He is stepping into the backup point guard role with Markelle Fultz gone. He is eager to have the ball back in his hands and to take this huge step. It is one of the big questions for the Magic this season. Whether Anthony Black, a player that had a 12% usage rate last year, a player who was thrown into the deep end and really carefully guarded to make sure that he would experience success. It is a major thing for him to take on this role. And it is one of the big question marks of the season. And yeah, in 2 preseason games, plus looking at Summer League, he does look a lot better. Does look a lot more comfortable on the ball, looks a lot stronger, looks a lot more patient. Looks like he does have a better understanding of how he needs to play to be successful. A rookie turning into a sophomore to a second-year player is a big leap. It usually is. And the Magic are leaning on Black for a whole lot more now. The Magic already know what they're going to get from him defensively. He was clearly an NBA player last year just based on his defense alone. But nobody had a good sense of his offense. Nobody had a good sense of whether he was ready to take that big step up offensively. And that's still the question. But the way everyone talks about him makes you is ready to answer that question. As Franz Wagner said after practice Monday, quote, "Oh man, he's been playing great, I think. Especially more with the ball as a point guard, directing guys. It helps knowing the game a little bit, having been in those situations last year already. I'm super impressed with his body. I think he's finding more ways to get into the paint and make plays from there, which is what we need," end quote. It's Jamal Mosley saying after practice Thursday, quote, "We all know what he's capable of doing. His voice, his ability to control the floor, be a floor general, communicate to the guys exactly what he sees and what he needs. Defensively, everyone understands exactly how good he can be and what he's capable of doing. He has taken another step from a leadership side and a vocal leader as well." And again, this is not to mention how much they already trust him as a defender. Black has a lot on his plate this year. Black has a lot that he's going to have to accomplish and a lot that he's going to have to show this year. Because obviously the Magic are now in the business of winning. They've got to win basketball games. They've got to take the next step, take that leap into becoming a championship contender. And they'll need young players like Anthony Black to step into and graduate into these roles. We haven't seen Anthony Black play enough. Obviously, 2 preseason games, scored 9 points against the Pelicans, or 8 points against the Spurs. Good efficiency with the shooting, made a jumper against San Antonio. Had great assist numbers in the first game, 6 rebounds in the second game, 3 turnovers as well. There's still going to be a learning curve here. There's still going to be a learning process. He's still a very young player and, frankly, a rookie at being a point guard. But after the Magic really guarded him and kept him from expanding his role, after the Magic really, I don't want to say sheltered him. I don't think that's quite right. But after the Magic really ensured that he was in a position to succeed, that he was going to stress his defense, but not be on the ball a ton. Black is now playing the way that he's most comfortable playing. Anthony Black has said throughout the course of the summer, he's thankful for the time off the ball. Helped him a lot, made him a better player, and he's hopefully a more improved shooter. I think that'll still be the area that he struggles the most. But he's always been someone on the ball. And so this year, whether it was in Summer League, whether it was at the beginning of camp, he said his goal was to play off of 2 feet. His goal was to be under control the pace of the game, but play with explosion, play with assertiveness, play with aggressiveness. And by all accounts, that's what he's doing. Now, obviously, we have to wait and see. Obviously, we haven't seen enough to know for sure. And while I think that Anthony Black has created, at least by what's been talked about, the most buzz of any player at Magic Camp. And look, Paolo's going to be really good. Don't take that as that. AB does seem like now that his role is about to expand, he is ready to take a nice little leap. He is ready to see his game expand and grow in a significant way. And most importantly, he seems ready for it. And that's the part that is most exciting. That is the part the Magic need to hear most. That he is ready for the opportunity. Because the Magic need him to step up. And we'll see what that looks like Friday night against Philadelphia. We'll see what that looks like Wednesday against the Miami Heat. Anthony Black's not the only young player trying to find his fit as we prepare for this final preseason game. Where do the Magic's other young players fit into this process? We'll talk about Jett Howard and a little bit about Tristan Silva coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by Hims. Guys, sometimes we need to be spontaneous. We need to be ready for the moment. Anthony Black is certainly ready for the moment. And sometimes we need a little boost to be ready for that moment. Sometimes we need a little help because stuff happens. It does. And that's where Hims comes in. Hims is changing men's healthcare, providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints and Viagra and Cialis and their generics for up to 95% cheaper. The process is 100% online, so there is no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. Just answer a series of questions on their site, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option for you. If prescribed, your medication ships directly to you in discreet packaging for free. There's no insurance needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. With hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, Hims can help you find the ED option that works for you so you can be spontaneous too. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's Hims, HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. That's hims.com/lockedon. Disclaimer time. The products mentioned are chewable, compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Prices vary based on product and subscription plan. That's hims.com/lockedon. You know, we're in the preseason. We're still in the beginning of the season. Everybody loves the shiny new toys. Like Anthony Black is still kind of a shiny new toy. We know a little bit more about him than some of the other guys. Everyone wants to see the draft picks play. They want to see the young guys play. And even on veteran teams, inevitably you will hear, hey, why aren't the young guys playing? Why aren't you trying these rookies? And look, if you've been reading The Athletic, they've done this whole series on parity over the course of this week. Draft picks are going to be more important than ever. Being able to hit on quality young players who are cheaper, cost control, being able to supplement your roster with young players is going to be vital to the success of dynastic teams. It's why the Magic have Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, because the Denver Nuggets spent their money on Zeke Naji, spent their money on Julian Strawther, spent their money on Christian Brown. They need to hit on those players to be competitive because they can't afford the key role players like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, allowing the Magic to swoop in and grab him. So obviously then, there has got to be a place somewhere for Jett Howard and Tristan Silva. But that's kind of the issue with this Magic team. This Magic team is so deep. They've got so much that they're working on, that they're trying to be. They've got so much to worry about that, or they got so much that they're trying to do with so many good players that it's kind of hard to figure out where some of these young players fit in. Again, look at the Magic's rotation. We know their starting lineup, which is, again, filled with pretty good young players, I might say. Jalen Suggs, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter. Starting lineup is set. The bench group, Cole Anthony, for now at least, certainly going to be a strong bench player. Magic paid a lot of money to keep him. They're going to keep him in the rotation, and he's proven himself a rotation player. Mo Wagner, Obviously, rotation big. Jonathan Isaac, potential sixth man. Gary Harris is a veteran. He's going to get the nod. I'm sorry, you may not like that. But yeah, Gary Harris's spot might be up for grabs depending on how young players perform. But Gary Harris is still reliable, still a very good player despite what you might have judged from the playoffs. And then, of course, we talked about Anthony Black and where he fits in as the backup point guard. Having said all that, that leaves out a lot of quality players. There's 5 players right there. That leaves out Jett Howard, Tristan Silva, Caleb Houston. All players who need playing time and all players who have skills the Magic need. Now, this is the good news. Regardless of where those players end up in the final rotation, the Magic have them ready to go if there's an injury. Wendell Carter missing time, you expect that at this point. Sorry, Dell, we love you. Wendell Carter missing time, Goga Bitadze steps in the starting lineup. Magic don't lose a thing. That is a good thing. That is a luxury. If Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who, by the way, never misses games, if Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has to miss a game here or there, Caleb Houston, Jett Howard, Gary Harris, all capable of stepping in. No sweat about that. Not thinking twice about that. The Magic have this luxury where they have options, even if it's competing between Caleb Houston, Jett Howard, and Tristan da Silva. In fact, one of the reasons why Jett Howard started on Wednesday and the Magic eventually ended up using Wednesday as a game to test some different combinations was so that they could get a look at Jett Howard. If you'd asked me, I would have said Caleb Houston would normally get that spot. I think this team has a lot of trust in Caleb Houston. I think that they like his size, his defensive ability, and yeah, he can be a volume three-point shooter even if he has struggled a little bit with consistency. This is a big year for Caleb Houston. They're big fans of that kid. But they gave Jett the chance, and guess what? Jett performed really well. His defense may still need a lot of work, but his volume shooting is an essential thing the Magic need that they don't have elsewhere on the roster. They need a flamethrower. They need a Terrence Ross type. Jett Howard is the guy to turn to. Jett Howard is the guy. And again, he showed us that he can do it. Again, it's preseason. Take it for what it is. It's better to know a guy can do something that he can't. We saw that he can do it in the preseason. Great. Doesn't mean anything, but it shows potential that he can do that. And so this is again the question. This is again the next piece of this puzzle. But where does Jett fit in? How do you get him that playing time? Well, one thing I think Jamaal Mosley should do, and didn't do last year, but I think he should do it this year, is set aside games for Jett to play Gary's minutes. Steve Kerr did this with the Golden State Warriors. He told Leandro Barbosa, hey, we're going to let the young guy play this game. Regular minutes, doesn't disrupt the rotation. It's a bench guy. You do that. I think he should have done that with Anthony Black. He should have done that with Goga Bitadze at certain points last year, so that they're ready for the playoffs in case you need them. It was unfair to Anthony Black to throw him into the fire against that New York Knicks team after sitting out for a month. Now, a veteran would have been able to handle that really, really well. AB was a rookie. He was not ready. Had deer in the headlights, got burned. The Magic never went back to him for the rest of the season, frankly. There's a game or two that they did, but frankly, never went back to him for the rest of the season. There was a huge impression. The Magic should be trying to find ways to make sure that these guys stay in the rotation. Tristan da Silva is going to be your designated Jonathan Isaac replacement. When Isaac has to miss games, and whether Isaac wants to or not, he is going to miss games. Even if he's healthy, he will have some healthy scratches. Tristan da Silva is going to fill those minutes, and everything's going to look good because Tristan da Silva is a guy who makes winning plays. The Magic, the way Tristan da Silva plays, and you can see this a little bit in the preseason, although I think the preseason has shown he's still a rookie, he's still getting his legs under him. I think the preseason still shows that da Silva knows where to be and is a guy that makes winning plays, and it's impossible to keep players like that out of the lineup. It's impossible not to play those players. And obviously, this is the issue. Is Jett Howard good enough that the Magic have to play? Maybe. He gives this Magic team a skill they do not have elsewhere. They need a guy that's going to take 10 threes and make 4. They need that guy who's just going to be unconscious and just be willing to jack up some shots. If that's what Jett Howard is, that's what Jett Howard is. And look, he's not a great defender yet. He has made significant strides, and you can tell. And the more, and he knows he has to continue making strides on defense. He knows he's come a long way on that end. If he's committed to that end, he will get rewarded for it. If you would have asked me before preseason, and again, preseason's preseason, I would have told you Caleb Houston was first in line for those minutes. The vibes I get is that Jett Howard is first in line for those minutes. But he's not in the rotation yet. And so you have a lot of young players for the Magic fighting to break through, fighting to break it. All have skills the Magic need. All allow the Magic to, move Gary Harris if that's what it comes down to. Teams need veterans and expiring contracts. Gary Harris is one of those. Having this depth gives the Magic that freedom, but finding where they fit is a huge challenge. And obviously, Friday is a great opportunity for them to make a statement, make a case once again. What to expect as the Magic at last play a preseason game. We'll preview Friday's game coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans. So you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. If you're like me and ready for the NBA season, forget this NFL stuff, forget the college football stuff. It's NBA season time. They have great offers on the NBA, including the Orlando Magic at over/under 47.5 wins, same number as last year. They are the favorites to win the Southeast Division now at -150, so that they are that. I wouldn't say prohibitive favorites, but pretty good favorites. Miami Heat are +200, 2-1 odds there. Magic are -150, so that's you get 50 cents if you bet $1. And your dollar back, of course. So you get $1.50 if you bet 100, or if you need to bet 150 to win 100 is the way that works. Sorry, I'm explaining gambling to you. And if you want to get ready for next Wednesday's game, the Magic remain 1-point underdogs at Miami against the Miami Heat. If you are especially sick, they also have NBA preseason odds. They don't have the Magic Sixers game up yet, but they do have that. Don't bet on the preseason, guys. It's dumb. Don't do it. But I'll talk about what I expect to happen in this game nonetheless. FanDuel has so many great offers, and they have this special offer for you too. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets guaranteed with your first $5 bet. That's only at FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. So we have finally made it. Not only is it finally the last preseason game, something we all look forward to because preseason it's preseason. You take everything with a grain of salt. You don't believe half the things you see, and you believe half the things you don't see. It's preseason. Again, this is a more veteran team, more mature team. They know what they're doing. A lot of stuff's happening behind closed doors. My suspicion is the practices are far more intense and far more valuable than the games. The Magic haven't shown us anything yet. But it has been 10 days since the Magic last played a game. The Magic were up in San Antonio on Wednesday, sat out Hurricane Milton in San Antonio, flew back Friday, and they've had a week plus to get ready for this final game. They are, as Gary Harris put it really well on Wednesday, they got the itch to play somebody else. And this game is obviously not about who they're playing. I don't care about the Philadelphia 76ers. Tyrese Maxey may play, he may not. We know Joel Embiid's not playing. We know Paul George is not playing. We know that Philadelphia's rookie and Jared McCain is not playing either. They're still the Sixers. If Maxey plays, it's still a challenge, but it's less about them and it's more about how the Magic play. And frankly, what I want to see with all those stars out of the game for the Sixers, I want to see the Magic put the screws to them early. I want to see the starters come out, assert themselves, play, give me 3 good minutes or 4 good minutes at like a 9 or a 10. I think they've been playing at like a 7 or an 8. Give me a 9 or a 10. Make me feel really confident about what you're doing and how you're developing and building. We've seen Kentavious Caldwell-Pope in the lineup for like 10 minutes. Give me a good look at what this looks like. And look, the Magic showed good things against the Pelicans. Wasn't clean, wasn't perfect. The bench was better in that game than the starters. They came back against San Antonio without Wendell Carter, without Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and looked really good and really cohesive. We know it's in there. And it's about, like, I was talking with a buddy of mine who also covers the team, and he was kind of new to covering the team, and he asked me, what should I be watching for in these preseason games? And I really said, like, look, it's not about the big picture stuff. Like, the turnovers, I'm not freaking out about. Jamal Mosley keeps talking about the turnovers, and look, they're bad. It's whatever. I'm not freaking out about them. Those are things they can rein in. I really don't think the turnovers are as big of an issue. And again, like Wednesday, the starters only had 5, so you only care about that. It's about the hints of things. It's about getting a glimpse of what this team's going to be, because they're not going to show their whole hand yet. And look, we saw a good glimpse of things on Monday. We saw a good glimpse of things on Wednesday against the Spurs. I just want to see a bigger glimpse of things. I want to see the Magic put together a good starting group and a good bench group, because we haven't seen both of those units working in tandem quite yet. And again, some of that is personnel. Some of that is, whatever. It's preseason. This is a game to start tying things together. You've been practicing. You've been working hard behind closed doors. I'm sure they all think it looks really, really good. Both offense and defense both look great, according to what everyone's telling us. Put those pieces together. It doesn't have to be tied tight. It doesn't have to be double knotted. Just start tying those strings together. Start showing us that everything is working in concert, that the gears are turning, pretty well, and that they'll be ready to go when we get to Wednesday. I want to see Franz, especially, like, look, I know I've been really impressed with Paolo in the first 2 preseason games. I know Paolo knows how to get himself ready. I am not concerned about Paolo. Franz, I think, has been good, but not great. And I want to see him make shots. He struggled a little bit with the shots. Make a 3. Like, he's 0 for 4 from 3. Calm everybody down and make a 3. But make some of those floaters and short shots that he's been missing this preseason that we know is going to be there. Just give us that sign of life. I want to see AB continue to have a really good preseason. I think he's played really, really well, like I said earlier. I want to see Jett run with that second unit. I want to give me like 2 minutes of Isaac at the 5. There's no Embiid in this game. We're not going to be worried about Isaac having to bang with Embiid. I wouldn't want that in the preseason. I wouldn't want that in the regular season either, for the record. But I don't want that in the preseason. But now that we know Embiid's out, give Isaac some run at the 5. Let's see what that lineup looks like. Let's get a feel for what these things are. That's what this game's all about. Just give me a hint of what this thing's going to look like. We don't need to see it for long. I don't care if the starters play the second half. I think they should. It's been a while. This game isn't quite a dress rehearsal, mostly because Philadelphia is probably not going to treat it like one either. This game is not quite a dress rehearsal. Get their work in the first half. If they've done well, sit them in the second half. Let's get some other guys in. Let's get Tristan some run. Let's get AB some extended run. Give the E10 guys. We still don't know who the last 2-way contracts are going to be. The Magic have until Saturday to make some roster decisions. They probably already made them, to be perfectly honest. Let's get a good look at who these 2-way guys can be. Again, no one really impressed me in that San Antonio game, to be perfectly honest. So we'll see. But it's here. It's a game. It's information. It's a chance for us to break things down and really, again, continue to learn who this team is. It's going to be fun. I hope you can make it to the Kia Center. If you can't, the game will be on Bally Sports Florida. or scheduled to be at least. And then, then we do it for real on Wednesday. So it's exciting. Happy to have the game back. Happy to be back in the Kia Center. I'm really looking forward to it on my end. But let's have a good game. Let's have a good showing. Let's feel really good. I think that's been a key message. Kenny said it. Like everybody wants to finish this preseason strong, have a good feeling, and continue these good vibes heading into the regular season, which of course begins Wednesday. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. You can, of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the Film Makes It Known podcasts to your podcast-enabled listen device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can, of course, find us on Twitter at @OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, you can check us out on our Patreon page, the Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. Now that you're done making Locked On Magic your first listen today, for your second listen, check out the Locked On NBA season previews on Locked On NBA. From the East and West contenders to the potential tanking teams. This 6-episode series gives you everything you need to know about the NBA season. You can check out the Magic episode earlier in our feed. Just go back into our archives, wherever you download your podcast, wherever you listen, on our page on YouTube. You can find the preview page as the Magic have officially entered the middle class of the Eastern Conference. It's just my second time doing this here on Locked On NBA that I've not been in the tanking group. Very, very excited. You can check out my thoughts on the Magic as well as some of the other middle class teams over there as well. Find Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. That's going to do it for me, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. It's that time. It's a Friday night game night. We'll be back Friday night, Saturday morning to chat the Magic's final preseason game against the Philadelphia 76ers. We'll do that tomorrow. But until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.